Allie Ninfo, one of my favorite human beings, the spiritual Barbie of the United States of America. Welcome to
The United States of America.
welcome to the More Alive podcast.
Wait, that was the best intro anyone could have ever given me.
I didn't even prep it. Just like it was
That
God's
just
will.
naturally came out.
Like I'm channeling, you're channeling. Let's see what happens. Let's fuck around and find out.
Oh my God, of the United States of America. That's the best thing I've ever heard.
Okay, for those of you who don't know Allie, Allie and I know each other very intimately now. We didn't, it, you just found me somewhere on social media and like hired me the next day. So we were clients for a
Yes.
while and then are just like mutually obsessed with each other. And we only text each other in all caps. It's
Yes.
like, so you can tell already by the chemistry between us that it's like very intense and intense in like a lighthearted way, but it's like so connective. But
Yeah, I felt like we were best friends the minute I just talked to you. I was like, okay.
instantly. So you guys should know that when we got on our first call, we burst into laughter because our backgrounds were exactly the same. We had like both had neon signs behind us. I think I even had like, oh, I had my extensions in. We both had like this like long curly hair, and we're just looking at each other like, hmm.
Like, I get it. I get you.
Birds of a
We
feather
had even
truly.
like the tree in the back too with the
Yeah,
neon
yeah.
sign. Yes.
Yeah, like an olive tree or something like that in the
Yes.
background. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then we got on today and we're like, wow, we changed our backgrounds. We both have two posters behind us now.
Of
Love
course
it.
we do.
Of course. Okay, so seven-figure spiritual entrepreneur. I actually have no idea what your bio is. I'm like, I'm going to wing it and just say what I know about you, and then I want you to talk about yourself and fill in some gaps. Seven-figure spiritual entrepreneur, medium intuitive. You used to be a professional dancer. Didn't you dance for Ariana Grande?
I did for
You
one
did.
event. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So
Mhm.
a badass all around, like you're all around a high performance achiever with a very like wicked in the best way, like spiritual twist. Do you want me to do all of your bios?
I think I just need you to go redo my website.
I do have some tweaks. I'm like, I want more of this story here. I'm like, I know so much about you. I'm like, I was reading it and I'm like,
Send them to me.
I have
I'll
edits.
redo it.
um, Okay, the conversation today is really going to lean towards self-image, and you have really unique frames of thought on that. But I do want to get into a little bit of your business story, if you're good
Yeah.
with that, because it's been
Yeah.
quite a transformation, and I know a little bit of the BTS, which I think will be really interesting. So the context of the new podcast change is it's called More Live. It is exactly how it sounds. And it's all about making decisions that increase life force. And you and I both know that when you do that from a place where you're like super resonant with yourself, you're super connected with like with your intuition, with who you are, how you are made, how you show up in the world. You and I both really, really, really share that value in that. And that's a lot of the work that we do, just very, very differently. You talk about dark forces and how to like clear those from your creator field, which I'm going to ask you what that is in a little bit.
Yes.
So you guys are going to get Allie's the realist. We're equal forms of freak, just very, very different. And I cannot wait for you to get a taste of what that means. But take us back a little bit. Take us back to like your how you grew up and like how you became this person where kind of at 19, I think your journey really started very, very young. When she first got on, I was like, how old is this girl? She's like 12 getting ready to like jump into her $1 million year. And she's like, I'm late.
I was like, I'm too late.
You did say that one time. You're like, I'm really behind. And I'm like,
You're like,
LOL.
calm the fuck down.
I literally had like was about to turn 40 when we met. Okay, please tell us a little bit more about you.
Yes. So, grew up in Sinking Spring, Pennsylvania, very small, boring little place, but I love still going back there because it's just obviously always home. I When I was around 5, I started doing this thing where I knew someone had something before they knew about it. So I woke up one day and I was like, Mom, grandma has cancer. My mom was like, What? No, she doesn't. Meanwhile, I'm 5. I don't even know what cancer fucking is. I'm just like, oh, mom, grandma has cancer. My mom's like, no, she doesn't. 2 weeks later, they found out she actually had cancer.
Oh my
And
God.
I thought nothing of it because I'm like, well, duh, everyone knew that, right? Because I just thought everyone knew.
Yeah.
And it would just be these like little things. It wouldn't be all the time every day. It was just kind of these random things that would come up that people were like, what the fuck? How do you know that? Another significant time I can remember, I was at my grandfather's funeral when I was 12, and I like literally just had a conversation with him at his own funeral. But again, I was so young, I thought like everyone could just hear him or like understand that that was him.
Right.
And I told my dad a story, and we call him No. It's Italian. I feel like you know Italian for grandpa.
Hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, Dad, No said blah 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 about when you were little," and I told him this whole story, and my dad was like, "What the fuck? How did you know that?" And I go, "Oh, No just told me," and just like da da da, walked away.
Wow.
And just random things like that. Like in high school, I would know things about my friends. I'm like, "Oh, that person's really sad right now about their mom," but like you wouldn't have actually known that. But I just thought everyone knew. And
Hmm.
so anyway, I kept this really to myself. And because I was embarrassed because I thought it was weird. Once I started getting to high school, I was like, oh, okay, this is not normal. This is weird. I wanted to be liked and cool and fit in.
Yeah.
And I got really, really into dance around, I danced my whole life since I've been 5, but I got really into it at about 15 years old and just went fucking balls to the wall, all in, was training from like fucking right after school until 10 p.m. at night. My senior year of high school, I convinced my dance teacher to sign this paper to say that I was working at the dance studio all day so I could get out of school at 10 a.m. From like 10 a.m. and on until like 10 p.m. I was at the dance studio working, training. I had to work to pay off my own dance classes. Like
Hmm.
no one was going to tell me no. I was like, I'm going to make it fucking happen. I'm going to do whatever I have to do.
Hello,
And
Aries
dance,
sun.
what'd you say?
Hello, Aries sun.
Yeah, no shock to anyone here. So I dance took me to New York City right out of high school. From New York City, I was like, I'm an LA queen. Like, I've got to go to, I'd never been to LA, but I just knew I've got to go to LA. So when I was 19, I moved to LA and very quickly actually got on a dance agency within the first 6 months of living there. And I started auditioning. Well, in that process, I am broke as fuck. I am living in North Hollywood and I needed my hair done. So I go downstairs. There was a hair salon underneath the building I was living in. And I went to the front desk guy and I said, hey, can you put me with someone who's really good at blondes? He smiled. He's like, I know exactly who to put you with. He puts me with this girl, Caitlin, who was a mentor of mine for so long because what happened was I'm in her chair getting my hair done and I just start word vomiting to her all this shit that like my grandma and I knew she had cancer, but no one else knew. And I just started word vomiting all of this stuff to her, all these experiences. And I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. One, I'm not a word vomiter normally. And two, I never told anyone else this. Like, I don't know why I'm telling you this right now. Like, this is so random of me. And she laughed. She goes, it's not random. I want you to meet my intuitive healer. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, whatever. So I went to he used to hold these Sunday night classes in this workout studio. You'd get a workout mat and you just sit around in a circle. And I went to this like random guy's class and I'm like, what the fuck is this? What are we doing? I go in to meet him and it's Al, who's still a big mentor to me today, Alessandro. And Caitlin's like, Al, this is Allie. Like, I really wanted her to come to this class and meet you. And I was like, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing here. What's going on? Is this a fucking cult? And this guy just starts like using his intuition to just kind of like be like, oh, hey, this is your block here. Like, do this and you're going to get this outcome. And he was able to read the body and read energy. And I didn't really know what was going on at first. And I wasn't linking it to like what I was doing growing up because I didn't really know what I was doing growing up. So
Yeah.
I wasn't really linking it at first. And I thought, oh my God, I can keep going to this class. I'm going to heal stuff from like my dad. I'm going to heal stuff from for my self-image. And then I'm going to be a famous pro dancer if I keep going to this class. So I kept going back to his class, learning about universal laws, learning about like healing trauma and from an energetic standpoint and reprogramming your brain and a lot of neuroscience. And before you know it, then I'm fucking in his intuition class. And then I'm like, I'm learning how to take my intuition from like a natural thing that just happens and I don't know when it does or how to control it, to how to actually hone in on it and master it. So before you know it, I'm like full blown, just like, this guy is my mentor. I love everything he does. Like, I'm up his ass 24/7, like just taking in like all of this information. And then about a year into me dancing, pro dancing, I'm like, I fucking don't want to do this. And it made me realize, like, I love dance, but the reason I wanted to go do it as a full blown profession and job was to fill a self image void. Like, I wanted to be a famous dancer because I wanted attention and love and acceptance from other people because I didn't have it in my own self. The second
Mm,
I started healing it in my own self, I didn't want to be a famous dancer anymore. And I
yeah.
think a lot of people don't realize some of the things that they think they want is actually a human want to try and fill a void. And once you fill that, it helps you get on your, I call it your soul pole, like your soul career way quicker.
I'm sorry when you said soul pull, you know my background. And I was like, yeah. Also, like, get on your pole.
Yeah.
Carry on. Okay. It's like, yes.
We love the
New
pole.
new offer
New
coming through.
offer. I'm in. Sign up. I'm the first one to sign up for that.
Okay. First of all, I didn't know any of that background. That's so
No
great. I
way.
do know some of like your deepest, darkest secrets, but I didn't know any of that. That's
Well,
good.
there it is.
I had that happen one time that I can remember where one of the women that I used to work with when I was in corporate, I thought for 6 months that her husband had cancer and I thought everybody knew about it. And I walked into her office and she announced to me, she's like, yeah, we just found out my husband had cancer. And I looked at her and I go, but he's had cancer. And she looked at me like I was the rudest person in the whole world. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, what do you
That
mean she's just finding out? Like, I was so confused. I don't think I even realized for many, many years that that was intuitive. I was actually just thought that I almost felt like I was having an out of body experience. And I'm like, I'm so confused. Did I just make that up? Am I telling stories in my head? Like, did I not know that? Did I know? Yeah, so crazy.
that is wild.
Yeah.
Wild. But
Yeah.
that's a perfect example of intuition right there. You're like, oh, I
Hmm.
thought like I just knew that, you know?
Hmm. No,
Incredible.
I had like stories in my head of remembering times where she had like told me so many stories that she apparently had never told me. And I'm like, I don't know what to say here. So I'm really sorry. And I'm like slowly backing out of her office. I like didn't know what to say next.
You're like, I'm a psychic.
So I would. So yesterday I was actually recording for my Legends community. We were talking about like goal and intention setting. And I was mentioning ask yourself, like, do an integrity check and ask yourself, why do I want this? And who's it for? And
I
I
love
love
that.
that you had this like sensation of fulfillment when it came to like who you are. What were some of the things that had occurred for you where all of a sudden it's like this realization or self-love or whatever you want to call it, self-acceptance. I like acceptance the best for me, but like once I was like, yeah, this is who I am and I really truly owned that, like what were some of the things that helped you get there?
Yeah. So it was when I was pro dancing on a job that checked off the list of like one of the dream jobs that you would get. It was backup for a pop artist. It was like at like this Tiffany and Co event on Rodeo Drive in LA. And for anyone, that's like a dream job to be able to get early on as a dancer. Well, for me at least, it was. And I'm sitting there and it's 2 a.m. and the artist is like late or not even at rehearsal at all. And I'm just like, what am I doing? And for that audition, I remember it was everyone who was 5'4" blonde athletic build. So I go in there, I look like everybody else. and they put you in a line and you can hear them talking about you. Like after you run your dance, you run your audition dance in groups, you learn it real quick, you run the dance in groups, you then stand in the row of 5 that you just ran the group in, and they're sitting there, oh no, I like her abs better, like I like her, but I like her high kick better, but she's like prettier for you can literally hear them, and you
Wow.
see them looking at your headshot. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, I was like, I'm literally putting my happiness, my self image, my joy in life in the hands of these honestly random fucking people
Right.
at this audition desk who I've all of a sudden decided that they're better than me on a pedestal because they're sitting at the desk, you
Yeah.
know?
The desk
And
gave them authority.
the desk gave them authority. Yep. Yep. And I don't know if they've ever even fucking danced a day in their life. They're just deciding who's good and who's not.
Right.
And I remember like then being on that same dance job and being outside at 2 a.m. on Rodeo Drive at like one of our last rehearsals. It's like 2 fucking a.m. and we're there late. And I was like, I actually don't want this for my life. Like, I don't actually want to be on someone else's schedule. And that was in,
Yeah.
I say, the first year of my self-image healing where I even had the room to even think that. Because before even any of my self-image healing, I would just be like, oh, I'm going to be a good little girl, a good dancer for them, and I'm going to impress them, and I'm going to impress you and you, and then I can climb the ladder. And so that's one of my first significant memories I remember of going, I don't like care to fucking be here. I don't care what these people fucking think of me.
Yeah.
And I have a deeper calling, like I could feel this deeper calling. On the job, I was fucking giving people readings. We were waiting around. I was like, I was like,
Why we're here.
while we're here, I
You
go,
have a message from the beyond.
Grandma.
Excuse me. Tap, tap.
Is your grandma like roses, and do you have a rose tattooed on your wrist from it? Like, I just was like, I couldn't help myself. Like, it just started happening. So that would be one of the first times I can remember kind of being like, okay, I kind of don't want to play this game anymore. Right after that job, I left the dance agency. I like walked in and I was like, thank you guys so much for everything. It's just not my passion anymore. I left a dance agency that people take years to get on.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do because I didn't know I was going to make a business out of this, but I knew I wanted to work for myself, and I knew that I loved like all this intuition and healing and neuroscience work I did on myself was working, and I
Yeah.
wanted to somehow do something with it.
You got hooked on the drug.
I got hooked.
Then you became a dealer.
I drank the Kool-Aid.
And now you're at the top of the dealer game.
Out here dealing the drugs.
Okay, so your healing, at least like that segment of it, took about a year. So let's say someone's here in January right now and they're like on this path that they think that they want, or let's say somebody's making their vision board and they're like dream body, fall, and true love in that order. Got to get my dream body first so that then I can get the dream man. And they've given themselves a year. What would you recommend? Well, first of all, I'm just going to offer you that scenario and tell me what you think about that.
Okay. My first thing with that is yes, the timeline I just described was a year, but my self-image healing is still going on to this day.
Yeah.
You hit level 10 at one level, you then go to the next level, you're at level 1. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, so you're always going to be shifting it. And my next thing is, in my head, the scenario you just said, why someone would want their dream body before their dream man is so that their dream man can like think they're super hot. My thing with that is that nothing from the external is going to actually make you feel hot. So getting your dream body, you can't solve a problem from the same frequency of emotion the problem was created. So like if you're trying to get your dream body because you don't feel hot, you're going to get your dream body maybe, but then you're still not going to feel hot in it. And then your dream man is going to feel like he's not your dream man because your dream man is going to reflect the fuck out of you, meaning he is going to mirror
Mm,
back to you how you feel about yourself.
hmm.
So my thing with that is it's what I've experienced and what I do is it's not the thing you want, it's how you think it's going to make you feel and connect to those feelings and emotions. And you can start connecting to those literally today.
Yes. It's the same thing for my client, where my ideal client is like, if I can just make more money, then I'll feel safe with it. Then I'll feel good with it, right? Like thinking the money that will change the internal feeling. Same thing.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Same thing. Yep.
Hmm. And so if somebody can start today, what would they do?
Yeah. So here's would be my breakdown of it. If you want your dream body, you probably, it might be different for everyone a little bit, but generally, you probably want to feel attractive. You probably want to feel magnetic. If you're a woman, you probably want to feel feminine. You probably want to feel loved. You probably want to feel valued. There's
Yeah.
many others, but we'll stop at those. So, taking those things, super simple thing I do, I make a note in my phone and I go, I'm incredibly magnetic. And then I bullet point underneath that note all the ways that that's true. And I prove to my
Evidence.
brain that that's true. So I walked into a fucking Starbucks, someone turned their head, smiled, I'm magnetic. Someone
Yeah.
held the door for me, I'm magnetic.
Hmm.
Someone said this compliment to me, I'm magnetic. Right? It
Yeah.
can be as small as that or as big as I got 3 million views on my TikTok, whatever. But the micro moments are most important
Yeah.
because we wait for the big things to say, oh, we are something. No, you already are. You're just missing the evidence of it around you
Hmm.
every single day.
Yes.
So the more you can connect to those emotions, the more your body is going to mold into the dream body anyway, because you feel like you already have it. If you don't feel like you already have it, then you want it. And there's a universal law called the law of opposing forces. If you really want something, the other thing has to really not want you. So like if you really 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 want the dream body, you're saying I don't have it, I need, like, I want it. Well, you're never getting it because even if you were to on the external, you're not going to feel like you have it ever. So start by connecting to the emotions of what you think that will bring you, and then ironically your body will, your external physical reality, in this case your body, will form according to those emotions that you're connecting to.
Yes, thank you for bringing up the law of opposing forces because you remember my story where I used this for gambling.
Yes.
And Keith and I still do it when we play blackjack. We'll play like we went on a cruise, we won a ton of money. He like sometimes goes to Tampa for work, so he'll meet his friend and he's like there without me now and he does it and he teaches everybody at the table and he's like, "Oh, it would suck if I got an ace right now and like an ace pops down. Oh, it would suck if I got a two right now and a two pops down." It's like you don't want it, so it wants you. It's
Yes.
like it's like as soon as you don't want the guy who you've been like hung up on, like for example, if all of a sudden, you know, the my high or my middle school crush, Steve Olson. Pray to God he never hears
Steve
this.
fucking Olson.
Steve fucking Olson. My middle school crush. He was like the cool guy who like did break dancing in like the courtyard and stuff. And I'm like, like if we had met in a ballroom or something like that at a conference or something like that, I would give no fucks. And like Steve Olson would probably be like, "Who's this girl?" Right? Same
Yes.
thing. Like try it with gambling. Oh, I did this with bowling. I'm telling you, I've tried this on so many things, especially
So
the
good.
things that don't matter. I hadn't played,
So good.
I hadn't gone bowling since my daughter said, I think it was like her eighth birthday or something. It's been a minute. She's 19 now. So it's really been a minute. We went bowling and I was like, oh, it would suck if I got a strike or a spare. The way my whole board I did two things with that, so I want to make sure to give the full story. I did that, and then I felt the feeling of the win. I remember when I had done a launch one time, and my theme song was "All I Do Is Win," and I kept
So
hearing that in
good.
my head, and I was just like, "Ugh," it. I just remembered the emotional signature of that first, and then I tossed the bowling ball very unprofessionally. I just remembered my training from 12th grade or not 12, whenever that was in high school, middle school, whenever they teach you how to bowl. Like let go of it, and then answer the phone. Did you ever get that training?
I love
I
that.
swear to God, I had like three spares and the rest strikes. My whole board of 10 frames. I've never seen anything like that in my entire life. Everybody was staring at me, and my daughter's like, what the fuck? Like,
She's like, are you secretly getting bowling lessons?
Keith asked if we could get on a league.
Andrea's just like secretly every Friday night going to her bowling league, telling no one.
No, I haven't been back since. But I'm giving her these examples because what I'm about to ask her to explain next, because I had sent you a message earlier this year and you had announced that you had like a 300 and something $1,000 year, or you DM'd me and I was like, how are you doing? How's your hot girl Barbie account? Like just stuff that we'd been working on when I was coaching her and just like getting an update. And she's like, oh my God, I just did like over $300,000 this last month. And I was like, hold up, because the previous year you had done like what, 200K in total for your whole
Yeah, in
year?
total for the whole year.
In total for the whole year. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, what was this, March or April or something? Do you remember?
April or May, April or May.
Yeah, sometime around that season. And then all of a sudden I'm like, what happened here? Please explain. And you started talking about the law of opposing forces. And then we'll talk about the practical stuff too, because I know you made some adjustments to team, but fill us in, honestly. Fill us in on the 300 plus K month. How
Yes.
did that
Okay.
happen?
So many fucking things, but the law of opposing forces. One is I literally made a list of why it would be amazing if I never made money ever again. And
Hmm.
like why it would be the best fucking thing ever
Hmm.
and why I actually don't want to make more money. And why I did that was because so with intuition, what I can do is I can read anyone's energy, my own, and go, what is their level, 0 to 100%, 100 being the highest of their want for this thing? My
Hmm.
want was at a 98%. So I know that if my want for X amount of dollars to come in a month is at a 98%, your girl's not getting it. Like I'm going to constantly be pushing
Right.
it away. So I was like, what's the opposite of want? Not wanting. Let me make a list of all the reasons why I don't want it. Not just that, you have to emotionally get behind it. So I had to
Yeah.
emotionally actually believe that versus just logically trying to like trick myself. That doesn't actually shift your brain and your energy or your creator field. I had to emotionally connect to reasons why I did not want the money. And so every day, every morning, it was part of my routine. I would just like make the list. I still do it to this day. I make the list, I make the list, I make the list. Well, now the one's gone, so there's nothing to oppose against me. And
Yeah.
that was one of, amongst some other emotional ingredients that we can dive into and talk about that I plugged in. But that was one of the big things of just getting my want down for it.
So she tells me this. We go on the cruise, and all of a sudden, we are blackjack stars. Like,
You're
we
about to
hate
make
it.
$1 billion in blackjack.
Swear to God, everybody at the table by the time we're done, we're all like, as the dealer's getting ready to deal cards, we're like, we hate it when we get blackjack. It's the worst. And then all of a sudden, everybody's getting all these great cards, and we're like, yes. Everybody's staring at our table, and they're like, what the fuck is happening over there?
You're like law of opposing forces.
No, we didn't even explain it. We're just like, just try it and see what happens. So
Literally.
I've been rehearsing this with money a little bit differently, and you can tell me if this was similar for you. But what I did is I put myself into a future self frame of like, let's say I inherited like $900 million or something. And it's like I have more money than I could possibly spend in this lifetime if I wanted to even like upgrade my lifestyle by 10, right? And I'm like,
Mhm.
more money isn't necessarily what I need. So I don't I don't necessarily journal it out, but I do tap into that future self frame of like I have 900 mil fuck you money. Like I don't really need more money, but I want more aliveness. I want more like interest and curiosity, and I want to have my hands in the soil of the earth and like experience Mama Earth. But I did take that from you, and I do start with that now. So how did you approach that?
I love that. I love that. How did I, just so I'm clear, how did I approach?
Do you always have to, do you give yourself a reason to why you don't want money, or what did your list look like? Describe to us your
Mm,
list.
yes. Let me read you some. Hold, please. I have it.
Perfect.
I have it very. It's right up here on my pinned my
Pin
pinned
notes up.
notes.
Yes, my Go Me Club is also, yes. I love it.
Yes. Let me see here.
This is gonna be so good.
Okay. Getting money want down to a zero. More money means a bigger team. More team means more responsibility. That much money means bigger taxes. I don't like the government. I don't want to pay them.
We'll tell you how to get that down to zero, though. We'll talk after.
I have many things to say about that. Okay. Um,
That's why we write off the wedding.
that's why we write off the wedding. 100%. 100%. That amount of money will draw a lot of microscopes into my life. And I already have this like weird thing of like, I don't want a stalker ever. That much money means less control over my team because I'll have a way more of a team and I'll like not even maybe know someone's name. And I really value community and connection. People just expect you to pay. You feel guilty then if you don't pay for people.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people you can't trust will exponentially increase because you don't know if they're friends with you for your money or for you. So I just have these things. Oh, I'll be my masculine more. Like I'm going to have to like pay for more things because I'm going to be making more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have all these things. Oh, taxes is on here a lot because I fucking hate dealing with taxes. I have a full tax CPA bookkeeping situation now, which I didn't have when I first did it. It was like the
Yes.
bane of my fucking existence. So I don't have to deal with it much, but even like having to email with them or whatever, bane of my existence. So all of that, people could think I'm scamming people. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
People will think I do what I do to make money. People will not see my authenticity as much. And now people think, because I always get the question, well, Allie, I thought we didn't want to look at the bad because I thought we don't want to manifest that.
Yeah.
And what I have to say to that is all you're doing is neutralizing yourself. Your want and your idea of money is so high. You think it's so good, but it actually is that amount of bad. Everything in this universe, the universal law of balance, is equally good as it is bad. So, right now, if you're seeing only good from it, well, the universe is then going to have to balance you. You're going to create things to balance you out and knock you on the ground. Or you can balance yourself out, get neutral, and then nothing has to come from the external to balance you out. If you're too high and too elated and too want for it, you're going to create situations and scenarios to balance you out, and it's going to be shit that happens so you get back to neutral. So, and my thing is if you have a want, underneath the want is a fear. And underneath the want
Mm-hmm.
is a fear of not having. And anything that you fear will fucking happen. It's just a matter of time. And that's not to scare people because you can neutralize the fear by doing this. But, like, for example, fear of elevators massively, big time. I fucking hate elevators. We're in the highest building in Dallas, in like 55 floors at the top. We get in the elevator. It's me, Justin, my fiance, and our friend Camille, who is visiting. We get in the elevator, it goes down, it just goes, whoo, and it just stops. And like everything just stops working. We're on like the 44th floor at this point, and I'm like, this fucking thing could crash. This could like, we could run out of air. I mean, I start having a panic attack. I like crawl into the corner, and I'm like, nobody talk to me. I need to breathe. Anyway, my point is that happened because I had this fear of getting stuck in an elevator that I never came to terms with. Whenever we have a fear, it doesn't matter if you're not thinking about the fear, it's still in your creator field. And if you're listening to me for the first time, your creator field is the electromagnetic field that radiates off of you in science terms. It's essentially one big concoction of your beliefs, your thoughts, and your actions on a daily basis. Whatever those things are, it writes a script in your creator field, and you're handing out that script to all matter around you. All people, all places, all circumstances, and all situation are going to act out that script back to you. So if you have this fear, this emotion of fear about elevators in this case, and I don't deal with it and I just ignore it, I'm going to create it. So when we have want, underneath it is fear. And if you have fear, you'll continue to create that fear. But doing the why I don't want is neutralizing the fear. It's making love. It's fucking, it is coming to terms with the worst case scenario and fucking loving it. Like I always tell everyone, I'm like, you want to like stick your tongue down the worst case scenario's throat. Like you want to fuck it. You want to literally love the worst case scenario so much. You neutralize the fear, you no longer have it, it will literally not happen.
Yeah. My dad used to say, make peace with the conditions that you're in, and then you can improve upon it.
Yes,
Hmm.
100%. That's exactly what it is.
Hmm. No, you even think about like Michael Phelps' story because he talks a lot about like his process of visualization. So he rehearsed things going wrong. He rehearsed like his swimsuit stitches like coming out. He rehearsed like all of the worst case scenarios. And some might say, like, well, didn't I manifest those? And the reality is he prepared himself to win under all circumstances, good or bad. And
Oh my God, I didn't know this, but I
mhm,
fucking love that he did that because that's the whole point. Like, you, like, I love that rehearsing and preparing for all worst case scenarios, then they don't happen then. But if you're
mhm.
not prepared, then they end up happening.
Or if they do, then it's like you're neutral about it. You're just like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna do this, this, and this, but it doesn't knock you down. And like my dad's special forces Green Beret from the military, and so like his stories are all about war. And he's like, well, if you get dropped into the enemy zone instead of this zone, then like you better make peace with those conditions you're in real quick, or you're gonna die, basically.
100%.
And so all of
You
his,
literally
if you
die.
listen to his podcast, he talks about he's like, well, if you're taking rounds, be prepared to get hit and be prepared to keep driving. And I'm just like, oh my God. My dad
Like,
is
he's
such a
not
G.
wrong.
He's not wrong though, right? His last thing was he's like, and even if you get shot in the head, you still have 1 second to fire back. And I'm like, you're such a badass. Like, what the fuck?
I love this man. Like, I would like to meet him.
You would love him. He's like all about his like shelters in Montana, preparing for worst case scenario. There's a food cellar, like a man after your own
Oh,
heart.
okay. I like
Call
this
him
guy.
dad.
Yep.
Yeah, I
I
knew you'd love
understand him.
him. You too.
Me and my 2 years worth of tampons in my bathroom in my office.
Oh my God, I literally just used my last tampon. Like you would die.
No.
You and I wouldn't survive together. You would have to let me die, and I would respect you for that.
I'm like, here's some tampons.
Like, or I'd have to bleed in a hole or something. Like, Joelle, you get to decide whether we keep this or cut it.
The period hole.
Prepare for all of it, guys. Look, I have to be honest and accept the fact that the stuff that I don't prepare for, I'm gonna have to suffer. And like, even though we're joking about like having a 2 year supply of tampons or like being prepared with like bomb shelters and like stuff that we do actually enjoy talking about, like the reality is that anything you don't prepare for, you do suffer at some point.
Totally.
At some
100%.
point. So
100%.
we all want to walk around and say, like, we're never gonna like lose a family member. Like we know it'll happen, but we don't prepare for it. What would we
Right.
do if we emotionally prepared for, I do a lot of work in unconscious work. And a lot of the work that I do actually does eliminate suffering, even around grief. Like, what if we prepared ourselves ahead of time? In fact, I do have a client that I was just talking to the other day, and she's like, you know what? I lost my grandma. And because of the work that I've been doing over so many years, she's like, I got to really like send her peace and I felt more connected to her and I'm not really like suffering it. Like, sure, there's maybe some like light sadness versus a tremendous amount of grief and suffering that we would normally expect from losing somebody that we love. Can we talk about that? I know we were not planning on going there, but it's coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first, also, too, to add on to that, that's such a good point. And to even like bring another thing in there, it's kind of like if you have a family member who has been sick for a really, really, really long time and then they cross over, you're just more prepared because you were preparing for it to come versus if
Hmm.
someone just instantly crosses over from like a freak thing, you're like, there's a shock to the system. So it's even like in
Right.
that very normal case it can happen. Like it's just an example of how being prepared versus not being prepared, it's a completely different shock to your system. So yeah, even like all the work that you do with people regulating the nervous system, you can then use that for anything, and then you are prepared for
Completely.
those things. And then,
Completely.
sorry, you asked me a question, but I was like still on your thing.
I think I asked money actually. Um, well, we were talking about grief even beyond that, like from a channel perspective. Like, what's your opinion on how I heard once, this is totally non-related, but I did hear once that because when someone crosses over, and they're at, let's say, like the frequency of love or the frequency of peace, when we're in a deep state of grief, it actually creates more separation from them. When if we were in a state of like love and peace around it, we would actually feel closer and maybe be able to have more kind of like supernatural-ish experiences around someone crossing over. What's your opinion on that?
Oh, I love that. I love that. I My thing is the soul never dies. So, yes, it left this realm. We're in realm 3 and like it went up some realms, but the soul is always there. And a lot of times, if you guys were soul family, how you can know that is if you just feel a deep connection or you feel like you can't explain the connection that you had,
Mm-hmm.
probably soul family. The soul will probably come back in this lifetime, maybe as a child, or maybe as your sister's child, or whoever is your kid's kid. A lot of times that happens, especially if you feel that soul connection. So one, the soul never actually dies. The soul's always there, and it is very, very there and very, very real. Like talking with the soul is like very much talking with a human when you just learn how to use that. I think everyone has intuition. I think everyone can do that if they choose to, slash if they learn how to use the right tools. So it's very much just as real. It's just our physical eye can't see them. In this realm, why we can even see ourselves and see each other is because that we're just very slowed down matter. The second the soul goes up to other realms, the matter speeds up. So we can't see it with our human eye, but it's very much there. And another thing that people don't talk about or maybe realize is 3 to 6 months after the soul crosses over, like after it leaves the human body, it's only actually hanging around you for 3 to 6 months. Then what happens after that is it kind of goes back to soul school, like up in the realms, and it is growing and learning there, and then kind of preparing for its next life. So, or its next experience. Maybe it will go be an angel next. I don't know. It depends what frequency the soul is. But so people, even mediums will channel people who, have died 10, 20 years ago. They're actually not directly talking to the soul. They're just feeling into the energy of the person. They're not wrong or lying, and maybe they don't even know, but they're actually just reading into the energy of the person. The soul is already somewhere else.
Okay, I was about to ask because I just had a call with my psychic last week, and my grandpa shows up every time. And I'm like, wait, I have questions. She's
I
always
love
like, who's Larry? Because she always forgets. And I've actually had this question about psychics
Yeah.
is she picking on like external truths, or is she picking on up on like what's in my subconscious?
Good question. So I have a story about this. So one time someone came to me and they were crying hysterically. The first time they ever came to me and they were like, Allie, I went to a psychic last week and she said I was never going to get married. And I was like, okay, let's look into that.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that she thought she was never going to get married. But when you look at her soul plan, when you ask her higher self, when you look at source, I can see it's literally in her soul plan to get married. Slash, even if it wasn't, you can manifest that and create that to be a part of your soul plan. So, but it was already in her soul plan. The psychic was reading her thoughts. And
Yeah.
so the psychic said, You're never going to get married, which validated her thoughts, which then sent her into a spiral. And I said, Right now, you might not because you have this deep belief of that you're not, but we can rewire that and get you in alignment with your soul and then create that. So, psychics, it's not that they're wrong, it's not that they're lying. most some might be lying. I mean, there's a bad egg in every industry, right? But most, like, it's not that
Yeah.
they're intentionally lying or that they're wrong.
Right.
They are just untrained. It's like it's taking what I used to do for people before I trained it and just kind of seeing what happens and what comes up. But when you learn certain, like, the right intuition tools, and you learn what questions to ask, because your intuition's only as good as the questions you ask. So when I know, okay, I'm reading Andrea's thought field, I'm reading her emotions, her higher self says something different, her soul is on board with higher self, that's the truth. Thoughts and emotions are just how you're feeling. So your psychic could
Okay.
be reading any of that. She could be reading your higher self, she could be reading your thoughts, she could be reading your emotions, she could be reading your belief systems, or she could be reading your soul plan or source or guides. I When I train my students with intuition, I say, we love guides, we don't ask them questions, because guides can lie to you. Not from like bad intent, but from like trying to get you to a lesson that you didn't really have to be lied to get to. So it's kind of like, oh, should I dye my hair brown? And the guides are like, yes, for you to then dye your hair brown, for then you to not like it, for then some lesson to come out of it. Do you know what I mean? And so I just prefer to not have to go through all that and
Yeah.
just go straight to like the actual answer. So when you don't know what you're reading, it's hard. It's She could be reading your thoughts, but not actually your soul, and then missing out on like, oh my God, no, her soul is actually capable of so much more than what her thoughts are saying, type
Hmm.
thing.
Yes. And with this one, she does get other information besides like anything that could be in my subconscious. Like she told me when I was gonna date a guy with the letter J and like ended up falling in love with this guy. And then like an S guy was coming in, ended up falling in love with this guy. She didn't predict Keith though. She
That's the
didn't
best
predict Keith.
one.
That was a surprise. The universe does know I love a good surprise. But she did also say, she's like, you have like billionaire status in you. And I'm like, I don't want that.
I love that. Yeah, so she could have been reading like a soul plan there,
Okay.
and yeah, like very psychics are very, very gifted, very
Hmm.
gifted. If the gift is untrained, then you just don't know where it's coming from, or like even maybe tools on how to get you there.
Hmm. Okay. And you teach this.
Hmm. I
Yes, I
do.
love that. Okay. Let's get back to, we took a couple hard pivots, but I am not mad about it.
I
I
am not
love this
mad about the
conversation.
pivots. I didn't expect anything less from us than the pivots.
And like we talked about bomb shelters, we talked about stocking tampons. We literally
I
like,
can't go into any conversation these days without talking about a fucking bomb shelter.
I know. I know. I know. I get it. I get it. Okay, so this world is crazy. Prepare for everything. But and I will go get tampons after this, and I will definitely stock a much larger
I need a photo
supply.
of your tampons.
Evidence.
I need evidence.
Part of it is because I live in two places right now. I actually have a ton at Keith's, and I had none at my house, which is where I am right now. But like, gotta stock up on both. Um, okay, so let's go back to self-image because I want to wrap up here because I know this is like your bread and butter, your love, your biggest heart, and tease a little bit about the fact that you are going to be on a reality TV show, which is very soon. I don't know any details about it. I just know it's happening, and I know you're allowed to tease that you will be on one, and we can't say anything else. Having said that, talk to me about self-image and like preparing yourself because I actually might also have an opportunity to be on a reality TV show like that would come out next year and I'm like I don't know if I want to be seen by like that many people. How are you preparing yourself? This is a really important question for all women. Like pretty much everyone that's listening is someone that has a brand. They want to be more visible because they want to help people, but then also the idea of visibility can feel a little intimidating and scary, especially if there's a big jump in visibility. So let's chat about that.
Yeah, of course.
Help.
Okay, first of all, I want to hear about this. So I guess off air, but I need to
Yeah, I'll
know.
bear.
Okay. Love this for you.
Okay.
So, okay, how this even happened was the show context is about just the work that I do essentially in like just my life. So little bit of lifestyle, a lot about like getting to see kind of the transformations with people and that kind of thing. How that even became a thing was rooting to, and I call them ingredients. It's like kind of how you need 8 different ingredients to bake the perfect cake. And then, but if you miss an ingredient, the cake's not going to be as good as it could be.
Yeah.
We can plug in what I like to call emotional ingredients to our creator field to then create a certain outcome, bake the physical cake of whatever we're creating. So for me, it wasn't that I was like, oh, I'm going to specifically do this around a reality show. I wanted to do this just around being seen as an authority in my space, being seen as special and unique, being seen as the best of the best. Everyone's the best, but if you root to it, then people will see that, right? You're the best at being you, I'm the best at being me.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to play with and plug in these new neural pathways of belief systems, which then affect your creator field. It writes a script and other people play that script back out to you, of feeling insanely special and unique, feeling like I'm the best of the best, feeling like what I have to give, no one can compete with. And here's the thing, anyone can do this because no one can compete with you because no one is Andrea. No one can compete with me because no one is Allie, right? So it's not about like putting other people down to pull yourself up. It's about seeing your own special and uniqueness as your own
Yeah.
soul, and everyone can go do that and see that.
No
So,
hierarchy.
yeah, exactly. So for me, I was like, okay, why is Allie the special and secret ingredient of what people need? And every day I would just, same thing, just prove that to myself. Little bullet points in my notes, emotionally connecting to memories, specific memories, little micro moments of why that's true. And I started to plug these things into my creator field. If there's a fear of being seen, what's underneath that usually, now general, like you'd have to look at the specific person for what exactly it is, but generally what's underneath that, it's different from, oh, I don't know if I want that versus, oh, I want that but I'm scared. So if you want that but you're scared, usually what's underneath the fear is a fear of people thinking you're something you're not, or people not seeing you for who you actually are, or people saying things about you and you not being able to control the narrative.
Mm.
Well, you can shift that by using reflection. So if you're afraid of people accusing you of things you aren't, you've got to make sure you're not accusing yourself of anything that you aren't in life. So, oh, I'm not good enough to do this. That's accusing yourself of something you're not. Oh, I'm not pretty enough. That's accusing yourself of something you're not. I'm not this enough. That's accusing yourself of something you're not. You don't want other people to start a narrative of something you're not, then you can't be doing it to yourself. So, one, before you would go out and be seen, if you have a fear of that, I would look at all areas of life that you're accusing yourself of things that you're not right now. Shift those first. You're no longer going to then have that fear.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing people can get afraid of is accusing yourself of something you're not, and then also like being kind of being made fun of, like, or being put in this light that they wouldn't want to be seen as, like trying to control a narrative. The only reason we try and control a narrative of how other people see us is because there's a part of us that still needs the external validation of them saying that we're okay and that we're great
Mm.
for us to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, then I would dive into looking at, where do I feel like I need external validation from others, and how can I start to give that to myself? And that's like what the whole glow formula program is about, is giving it, it's the inside out, giving it to yourself first, and then you're going to create it on the outside. So those would be my first top 2 things to look at for sure.
Okay. That is so clear, so simple, so doable. I can totally see, even for me, where I don't really care if people talk shit about me. Sometimes I'm a little disappointed at like the lackluster Reddit threads. I'm like,
You're like, I want more Reddit threads.
I mean, like, I don't need them, but I'm just like, you know that you're doing it right when you're getting talked shit about. That I feel no feeling
100%.
about. But I do want to know right away that I did a good job. Like for me, I
Mm,
get that instant satisfaction because I can see it in a client's face. Like I can instantly see like their stress is melted and I'm like, ah, did it.
yes,
Check.
yes, yes.
Yes. So like when I can't tell, and I remember hearing Oprah Winfrey say this, where like she interviewed like, for so many people and everybody asked the same question at the end, which was, did I do a good job? And like that is definitely a fundamental human, I wouldn't call it, is it a need? Do we want to call it a need? Like, I don't want to call it a need. I think it is,
Yeah,
but I don't want to.
maybe like a want, maybe a, yeah. I mean, biologically, at one point, we did need people to like us to literally not get kicked out of the tribe and die.
Right.
So, like, that makes sense. But now we don't technically need it. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
To be
You're
determined.
right. There is some instinctual like programming around
Yeah,
that. And
totally.
I know for a matter of fact, like we can change programming around stuff that's less than useless in 2025.
Totally.
Do it every
Yes.
day. Yeah.
Love the way you just, yes,
Yeah.
that. Yep.
Okay, great. I do remember the question that I forgot to loop back around, which was you had your 300K month, and then we had like the practical advice that you were going to give about like making team adjustments. Can we dive back into that and we'll close there? Do you have
Yes.
time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
This
great.
is my last thing of the day.
You
So
know we would talk a lot.
I have all the time.
Okay, great.
So the physical actions that I took, this was this was end of February in 2024. Yeah, what year are we in? Yeah, 2024, end of February. I was like, it was me and two people on my team who were like part-time. One of them, love them both. One of them wanted to do what I do and looked to me kind of as a mentor, which is great. And also she was building her own business, which I want her to do. I wouldn't want to hold her back. And I also needed a full-time team member, full on like Team Allie. The other one, same thing, had her own thing going, and I was just kind of one of her clients. So great, I don't want to hold her back from that, but I needed like fully bought in to this brand, this company, people. So I just said to everyone on my team, the two people, I'm like, you guys, I love you guys. And also, like, this is the end of the road for us. And my whole entire team, of two people, I just nixed. Not from I love them, not from a bad place. They did nothing wrong. They
Yeah.
had their own thing that I didn't want them to come on full time because that would have stopped them from their own thing.
Hmm.
I wanted people who wanted to work for a company that they believed in. They didn't want their own business. So I
Yeah.
made a list, a little bit of the energetic, but it leads into the physical. I made a list of 125 attributes of my dream COO. I was like, I need a fucking COO. You know, I am not a fucking organized person. I am like over here, I'm over there, I'm everywhere. I need a COO to actually organize my fucking shit and then be responsible for the team. So I write down 125 dream attributes of my dream COO of how I would want to feel. Not how they look or how they are, nothing physical, just how I want to feel. I write this down. I get on Indeed like 2 days later, and we put the application out. Over 400 people apply, and then over 100 people like did the next step, which was like email me. Out of those 100 something people, Sarah, COO Sarah, stuck out like a fucking sore thumb in the best way. I didn't care about anyone else. I interviewed about 8 people from that 100, but the whole entire time I knew it was Sarah. I
Yeah.
knew this girl is a fucking machine. She is everything on that list and then some. If I could build in Sims the perfect fucking COO for me and my company, it is this girl. So I got the COO because I knew what my weaknesses were and I knew I wasn't going to try and force myself to be something that I wasn't. So I got Sarah. Sarah is everything I'm not. Sarah is organized. Sarah has process system oriented. Sarah knows who to hire for what role. Sarah knows how to lead a team properly. And that was the first call to action that I did physically. Well, then we got Sarah on. Within a month, we need to hire 2 more people. Within a month from that, we need to hire another person. And now the team is 7 people full time, all team Allie. And so it was a get the most important person in first, or get the most important task done first. Or if you can't afford to hire anyone in right now, I kind of want to call bullshit, because I hired my first team member when I couldn't even pay for anything else. I found ways to just like pay this girl like $20 an hour, a few hours a week, right?
Same.
So, right? Like you just do what you
I had
have
a
to
$50
do.
a week budget for delegation.
Yes, yes. 100%. I may have sold a foot pick or two. I don't know, but
Oh my God, my daughter's going to love that clip. She's been trying to convince me to stop putting my bare feet on the internet for years because I'm not monetizing them. I was like, baby, mama monetizes everything. Don't worry.
You're going to need a foot finder.
Yes, we
Oh
work with
my
the
God.
resources we have to get started. Absolutely.
100%. That's not me like saying go selfie pics. All I'm saying is I did that once or twice.
I'm saying you're resourced. You can hire help. There's nothing better than this
But don't go do that.
conversation.
It's not great for your creator field, but I did what I had to do. So
I'm like, I've sold my body at one point. You've sold your body at one point. We all do what we got to do to get started. Started from the bottom. Now we're
it
here.
is what it is.
Okay.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm going to be laughing about that all day. Okay. So
Wait, can I read? I took some notes from the very first coaching phone call that we had. And I
yes.
was like, what are your intentions? What do you want? What do you want to get out of this? Do you mind if
Wait,
I read
yes.
you what you said?
Yes. I don't even
You're gonna,
remember. Yes.
I knew you wouldn't. And that's why I feel like you're gonna love this. Especially with this whole call where people are like, oh my God, this girl has like $1 million spiritual business and like a team of 7 who's just like firing off, popping off, killing it, like about to be on a reality TV show, like all the things. So this is what I said. I wrote, and literally I wrote almost verbatim exactly what you said. You said, what drew me to you without even knowing you was I want to be able to make a lot of money and have launches without going crazy. My last launch highest was $90,000 and it felt really good. But the whole time I felt like I was on cocaine. I couldn't stop. I'd wake up and it would be nonstop all day long. I haven't gotten to a place where my team is leading themselves and I want my business to make more money without me while I get ready to work on a reality TV show. You said before I was like highly stressed, or I wrote before, you were highly stressed and wired were your exact words. And you said, I was in Malibu for 3 weeks and I couldn't do anything. I just wanted to show up and do what I want to do, but I didn't want to be worried about all the emails and all the things. I want to be able to trust other people to get things done for me. I do still have this belief that if I'm not doing the most, I won't make the most money. I want to take it from 6 to 7 figures. So cute. But I don't want to be stressed and anxious. But that's how I feel when I'm launching. I don't want to launch like that anymore. And I don't want to have to take 3 weeks off after launch just to do it. I want to launch from a place of peace and power.
Wow. That's fucking wild. I have chills because my team, because of Sarah, runs them fucking self. Like, I don't even know what's going on, what they're doing. I just know it gets done. That is insane.
I know my
Wow.
whole body is like covered in chills.
Wow. That's fucking wild.
So
Wild.
you went last year, you did under, or 2023, you did under 200K.
Mhm.
2024, you did.
2024 was somewhere between, oh no, wait. No, 2023. Wait, when did I come to you? 2023.
Yeah, August 2023.
2023, I did, yeah, 200K, between 200 and 300K.
Mm-hmm.
2024, we did 1.5 million.
Stupid. With an amazing team. And then I remember texting you and I said, any pressure pennies? I said, did you do it all from pleasure? And you said, all from
I
pleasure.
said, yes, ma'am, I did.
Yes.
100%. And anyone who's listening to this who hasn't gotten the privilege of working with Andrea, like, she has taught me so much on I want to word it differently because of course it's pleasure over pressure, but on like if I actually genuinely intuitively do not want to do something, like that's okay. You know, and like that you don't have to go force it because, Joe from next door did it too, did that way,
Hmm.
Um and also something that you've taught me too, and I don't even know if you realize you've taught me this, but it's just from you, like how our mirror neurons in our body like match just who we're around and like they learn from certain things. So just
No, I
being
didn't know
around
that.
you. So I don't even know if you've like directly like taught me this or not, but I think it's more indirect, but maybe it's been direct, I don't know. But that you can like if you need to cancel the flight and you're abundant and just get
Mm.
the new fucking flight. Like if you book the hotel and then you're not called to that hotel, just fucking cancel the hotel and go somewhere else. Like don't just push yourself into these places just because oh, I already paid for it, I already did it. Like you are really good about that. And
Hmm.
I learned a lot of that from you. Like I think indirectly of just like watching you. So that's a really cool thing about you.
I've never heard of this like mirrored neuron thing. I'm like, no, I've never, I didn't actually know that. But I love how I get the gist of it and I love how you explained it. But yeah, I have a saying and I'm trying to remember exactly what it is, something along the lines of like, if you are loyal to yesterday's promise, it comes at the expense of today's intuition or something like that. But yeah, like there's, oh man. And I swear to God, if I could get one message across to the whole world, like cough, cough, is my mic on? It would be that because there's so many times where, since Keith and I have been together, this has been one of the things that has been something that we've had a beautiful opportunity to grow through is like he's such a man of his word, right?
Yeah.
And even if it comes at an expense, that
Yep.
he really should, if it's at expense to his intuition. And I've been
Yes.
like getting to watch this man actually make new decisions because we tell people there's this like value in people who always follow through on what they said that they were going to do, even if they said it from a place of fear, from a place of people pleasing, from a place of trying to prove themselves. So like all the reasons that we started with, I love that we're like looping in here because like why did we make, what was the root in which we made that decision in the first place? Was it from love or fear? Do we even know? you know
100%. And it's great to have friends like this too who embody that quality because you just get it. Like when you like were like last minute, hey, I can't come to the engagement party. I was like,
Oh my god, yes.
fucking dude, I get it. And like I would
Hmm.
want that same thing. Like, oh my God, I'm so like it doesn't feel right to come. And I would want the other person to be like, I get it. And I think
Yeah.
that's such a incredible, valuable thing that I look for in friends too, of friends who just like, hey, you intuitively are getting a no, like do that. And it's a massive,
Yes.
it's an incredible quality to implement.
And you don't question either. And I'll tell you what, like I've canceled on Ellie twice now. We've like never gotten to meet in person. And both times we got the opportunity, I canceled like the week before. And so she's
Oh, that was
gotten
the retreat.
the retreat,
I
remember? Yeah.
forgot about, yes, we were all
Yeah.
gonna go to the,
I paid for a retreat and then
yes.
I was getting ready to move and I'm like, I'm going to fuck myself. My future self's going to be really pissed about this decision. And so I didn't go. I like lost all the money for the retreat and then your engagement. And I was like, Allie's the only person that I could not show up to her engagement. And she's gonna be like, if your intuition says don't be there, don't be there. And you're gonna like sweat at zero.
And it
Thank
makes
God.
so much sense because like even if you would have came, I would have loved to see you, but then it's like everyone else is also there. And then
Right.
it's like I gotta talk to
Yeah,
everybody, and then we wouldn't have even gotten time to like hang out the whole time anyway. So it was like
exactly.
like it works out in everybody's favor anyway.
Right. But how many people would take that so personally of like, oh my God, she didn't come to my engagement party. You
I
know what I
know.
mean?
I
Yeah.
know. I know. And that's a
Right.
self-image thing too. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, why am I taking that personal? Like, what am I
Mm-hmm.
making this mean about me? And where do I need to give more of that to myself?
Mm-hmm. Allie, where do people find you? And so they can creep on you and stalk you and get ready to see your name, your freaking like star image blow up all over the world, getting to see you be on this reality TV show that I still don't know anything about. I'm like, I know it's coming. I don't know what it's for. I know you've had cameras following you. This is all very exciting. But for other reasons, people want to start following you right now because obviously you're a genius. Your glow program is amazing. Like Catherine Zinkina messaged me and she's like, "Who's this Allie girl?" And she like got into your program right away. Catherine's been in how many of your programs? At least two from what I've seen, I think.
Glow, she also
She did Dark Forces.
intuition, and then I privately have taught her intuition and dark forces. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. No, obviously, like
I love her. Like I got introduced to Catherine technically through Andrea, and I fucking like every time we're together, we just sing your praises for many reasons. But one of them being like, I'm so glad that we like have found each other. You know, I
yeah.
love both of you guys so much.
Yeah. Oh, and like the last thing, we're going to close off on this. The reason they connected her with you is because you were teaching how to do energetic boob jobs.
Yeah,
That's where it all began. And we're like, we're gonna do Allie's thing and give ourselves energetic boob jobs. You, there
I
was
love the
this.
energetic boob job.
I don't know if tell me if the magazine came up with this or I think it was Elle magazine who had written. They said it's the no tox era.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Is that your branding or theirs?
That's theirs. I didn't create the no tox arrow. They
That was
wrote that and I
genius.
said, that's genius.
That's genius. Yeah. Yeah. You're all about like you guys, if you go creep on Allie's page so that you can see like her face has changed so much. You don't do Botox. You've never done a boob job. Like you are obviously she's young and she's beautiful anyway, but like you can even see transformations like as you've aged, you look younger and it's
Yeah.
so cool and like your boobs are obviously like stunning. And I'm like, if I had only known you before I got a boob job so many years ago.
I'm pretty sure I
Like
just showed Andrew my boobs like in a bra one session. I just go, yeah, look.
I don't think you did, but it sounds like you've done that many times for other people.
Maybe it was other people. I swear to God, when we were talking about it, I was like, look. But I've done that many times. I had a retreat one time with like 8, like it was like a retreat where we all stayed in the same house, like a VIP thing. I was like, yeah, here's my boobs just showing everybody.
It sounds like this is a pattern. I love it. But
Like, I love to show people my boobs.
okay, and where do people find you and all of this like genius information? You're a trendsetter.
Yes. So anything on the boob job energetic Botox is my glow formula program. You can find me at alexandraninfo.com. Alexandra Ninfo. Just my last name. It sounds like nymphomaniac, but it's
Easy to
just my
remember.
last name. And my Instagram, same thing, Alexandra Ninfo. TikTok, Alexandra Ninfo. Podcast is the Unfuck Yourself podcast.
Yes, I love it. And for the record, I did have my breast implants taken out. I hate it when I accidentally say that. And like, I'm not someone who suggests go get breast implants. I did get breast implant illness. There's stories of that all over the internet. You can Google my name and breast implant illness and read more about it. But 10 out of 10, not a fan. Don't recommend.
Oh my God, I've
Do
heard
Ellie's
about that.
program.
Yeah, do that. I've heard about that. It's awful what
Yeah.
that shit can do. Awful.
Yeah, I was having like neurological symptoms almost immediately. Like I all of a sudden had a massive fear of heights where like I grew up mountain climbing and rappelling when I was a little kid in Seattle. And all of a sudden I was on the back of my then husband's motorcycle, which I had done for many, many years. And I thought I was going to fall off. I was freaking out. I thought I was going to die. Like just I started having like symptoms that mimicked MS, like the whites of my eyes started yellowing, like my liver was really taking on a heavy load, and it was just like a complete mess. I took them out. The whites of my eyes turned back white again almost immediately. In fact, that's how Catherine and I became good friends. She knew me from my Beachbody world, but we became friends by sharing our breast implant illness story.
No, wait, she had it too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I
Mm-hmm.
hear so many people who have that. It sounds awful.
Mm-hmm.
Awful. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a foreign object going in your body. Like, what else is your body going to fucking do?
You know, I wish I had had that exact thought.
But you don't like it's not your fault. Like
Right.
it was like everywhere, you know, and you
Yeah.
don't hear about the illness part. And I feel like only recently people are hearing about the illness part. Like no one was talking about that before or linking it.
Yeah, there are some surgeons who deny it's a real thing, and other surgeons who will not put implants in, they will only take them out. So like it is becoming a well-known thing.
Yeah.
And I like really recommend that if you have them, to do your research, and if you have some like strange symptoms that you've never been able to explain, definitely look into this. You can just Google breast implant illness symptoms and lots of different blogs will come up. But it's
Yeah.
it's a shit show. Like it was a major transformation of
Do
getting
you
them
get
out.
do you get Botox at all?
Mm-mm.
No,
I won't
don't.
do it.
It's no, me either. It's literally a chronic illness waiting to happen.
Hmm. No, I'm
Yeah.
unavailable for that.
Yeah. No.
Um, no, I've been just doing my like red light therapy and
Yeah.
the
You
little
look fucking
frownies. Do you
great.
do the frownies? Do you like frownies? Do you know what those are?
No, but
You're too
Catherine
young.
showed me those.
You're too young. But yeah, like
I'm
I'll do
gonna-
skin stuff, but I won't put anything in my body like that. I after having breast implant illness, it was the worst. Like I was like flying to California to see specialty doctors. I spent so much money in like natural healing, and it was like a shit show. Like I'll never put myself in that position again.
No,
Hmm.
no. And yeah, you don't need it. You can do it all energetically anyway.
Right. Exactly. Follow Allie for more info. I love you so much.
I love you so much. Oh my
This is
God.
the best. I'm literally sitting here on my period on my higher dose, like heating mat, like just talking to you. And I'm like, this is my job. Nothing gets better than this.
I'm having a great time. I love you so much.
You guys, please go follow Allie. Learn from anything that you can possibly learn from her. She has like such a unique way of thinking, but also the way that you teach is, I mean, clearly people have heard you for the last like over an hour now. You're like, you teach things through such a simplistic way of understanding them. Um, they're instantly doable. Like you can integrate the stuff that you teach so fast, and getting to know you and like your innermost like thoughts and your fears. Like I know that you are such a high integrity person, and
Thank
the
you.
every single decision that you've made since like the time that I've met you, I have watched you like continue to face fears and go bigger and remove any obstacle that's come in your way in order to stay in like pure and integrity with the work and the things that you care about and the way that you care for people and the way that you create no hierarchy between people. Like I could go on and on and on. Like I am an Ally fan till the day I die.
Thank you so much. Taking that in, thank you so much. I love you. I'm
You're
a
welcome.
massive
I love you.
Andrea fan.
I love
We
you.
just
Okay.
fangirl over each other.
Everyone's just dropped off now. They're like, I threw up. Bye.
They're just having a love fest now. See you later.